so you had some experience with your friends before with the studio. Why have you? Because when you have decided to go for the Falconeer, or maybe the name was not decided yet at the time, but why have you chosen to go solo for that one? Why not getting some help and work with?
Well,
within
so
the studio?
like you said at the start, well, for the first 3 years of development, it was completely me. So in the last years, you get help with Benedict Nichols, who made the music, and Wyatt has QA, so that's quality assurance. So people that test your game continuously and say, oh, what happens in this mission? So they help a lot. And then there's Stefan, who's helping with making sure that it works on all the consoles and on the Xbox, on the Series X, on PC, that the store. So there's some help there, but all the core game stuff, just the game itself, it's always been me. And the reason for that is, so I do the art, so I'm an artist by trade, and all the programming, so and the design and the writing of the story. So it's why? Well, when I had my burnout, I went to a therapist and he helped me, and we did some tests. And it turns out I'm quite a hyper person who has I love focusing. I am very good at focusing on things that bring me joy, like creating something. But if you ask me anything else, I'll forget, or I'll just wander around or make mistakes. So I don't like ADD as a word, but I got that diagnosis. And that cleared up for us, because a lot of for me to see, okay, so that's something I have, because I was having a lot of trouble working with teams. Working for teams was it was becoming so difficult, because it was easier when team is just 3 people. When you're a super small studio, you can do whatever you want. But when it's 8 people in a team, you have to have planning, and then you have to have Scrum, which is a system, sort of a management development system, where you have periods, and then you sit down every day to talk to each other. What are you going to do?
Yes.
And then you have sessions where that this is taking, okay, I'll give this 8. I'll do this in 8 hours, 7 hours, and then everybody decides how long they're going to take, and then everybody votes on what's the most important thing to do that day and stuff like that. I'll go into a meeting with a team, and they'll ask me, what are you gonna do? I don't know. I'll write some stuff on the whiteboard, and we'll do this. Okay, that's the meeting. Let's get back to work. And then everybody else goes, but Thomas, this is also work. I go, no, meetings suck. I don't want to sit down. I would just get distracted. I wouldn't pay attention. And that is very annoying if that's your boss or your team leader. And then people get frustrated. So it was a lot of, effort. And I'm the guy that will go, they call it feature creep in a big studio. It's go, when the game's nearly done, it's oh, shit, it's wrong. Okay, let's change it. We got to, this is wrong. Let's change it. We need to do this and this and this. And the entire team, but we're nearly done. We're not going to change it just because you want to change it. But you can see it's not fun yet, or something like this is missing, and it will make it better. Let's stay the night and do it, which is also not smart. Which you can do by yourself, but if you have people who work for you, who have families or something, and you get crunch and all that stuff. So I suck at working in teams. And it doesn't make me very happy, to the point that I burned out. So it was becoming very damaging to me and people around me, and it was for me, it felt like a dead end. So later I realized, oh, okay, so that's not everybody thinks like me or has that problem, which is really super stupid. Yeah. Because you don't realize that, you just think everybody's like you, and you just wonder, why don't I get this? Just go to, and your colleagues go, why don't you take a management course, or why don't you take a Scrum course, or why don't you learn to be a Scrum master, or here's this book about managing game teams. And at some point you go, I just can't do this, and you become became quite depressed with that. So in the end, doing things by myself, and I think it also took all these years to develop the skills to do so, from an artist to learn to program and code at a decent level, and then doing all the writing and stuff. It helps a lot, and it was just a point where I said, okay, and I had kids. So at some point my oldest son was born, or was coming, let's put it, And I don't want to sit here in an office, let's be honest, fighting a lot of the time with people about things I love, but which I'm slowly not loving anymore. You stop enjoying what you're doing, doing administrative work, or which is obviously not helping anybody. So I said, well, fuck it, I'll just jump, and I'll make my own games.
Yeah. And you mentioned about the fun of the game, because in the end, that's the goal. The goal of creating a game is to provide some fun and provide some nice gameplay. When you work alone like that, how can you know that a game is fun? You have only your own impression.
Yeah, I think there's lots of ways. So I think many types of game designers will give different answers. So if you're a very structured game designer that does, for instance, platform games, well, I'll design it and then I'll look how people are playing and adapt and iterate. So that's lots of play testing and taking notes and stuff, and paper prototypes. I don't do any of that. For me, the strange thing is, for the Falconeer, I was so tired of doing other people's ideas, of trying to. I really didn't give a shit anymore. And it was to the point that I would sit there. If this with my partner, I will go work in a supermarket during the day. If I can just do, and that's not against people working soon, but I will take just a low-paying job, not to have the stress, and then just to be free to make what I want. So I set out with the Falconeer just to not give a fuck. I think that's why the people at Eurogamer recommended it. It's very unique in that it is a complete expression of one person.
Yeah,
it is.
Exactly.
It is nothing, and that makes, for me, that is art. That is where it's different from entertainment. Is that it's a work of art. It's my life I've put into a game format I played when I grew up, with a story that is about my life, and about challenges we have, which hopefully resonate or translate to other people. Made in an art style, and with my it's all subconscious. Subconsciously, it's all my own expression, and that is, and I did that, and I don't want to make a boring game or a bad game or a game that's not fun. So I think that's where the choice for a flying mechanic was essential. Is that, like I said, that's something everybody can touch and say, well, this flying sucks, including yourself. It's very hard to lie about that.
Yeah.
And I think the only, the only caveat, the only but in that is, there are many ways to do flying mechanics. And I picked a very old-fashioned one, but that's the one I liked. But that is objectively what I did. You can go back to Crimson Skies or those types of games, and it will feel the same. So I did took an effort to test out that it's not my mental need. And we did do play testing, and there's people always been playing the game on Discord and stuff. So you do some play testing, but on the whole, I just trusted myself. And that's not to say I have not made mistakes. I've spent the last 3 months fixing all my mistakes. But the core feel of the game was very set at the start, and then it became much more interesting to add to the story and to create something where the environment is important, and the stories you put in there, and how visually things make you feel. And that I've put a lot of effort in there. So for me, it's not just about making a game that is fun. It is also trying to, reach out and do some other things with the gamer. So there are moments in the game where the game feels quite sad, and there's nothing in the story that's saying this is a sad. It's just the environment, and where everybody's sort of losing all the time in this world. They're all, it's all quite bleak in English. So it's very, I don't know in French what the right word would be. It's not melancholy. It's got that taste that things have gone. In the past it was beautiful, but now it's and that is I do enjoy making that. So for me, that's interesting if you can have those emotions in the game. And then on top of that, because I now, after my birth, because you grow, I try to analyze what I do. But before I had no idea. I'm totally fucking clueless. But now I can look at things and discover I have themes in what I make, which I didn't know before. So I now realize that everything I make, even now still, is about something wanting to be free. So it's a creature being squeezed. It's a bird wanting to escape into the clouds. A couple of weeks ago, I was working on an addition to the game, which is a pirate town on the back of a giant turtle. So it's a tease for the game. So there'll be in the future. Well, we'll talk about it later. But it's a part of a giant turtle. And then I go think, well, okay, a giant turtle will swim away if there's a town on it, and I've already done a giant crab with a city on it. So you know what? I'll tie up his flippers so he can't swim off. And so in the end, I look at when I'm done, I'll look at, it's a turtle that's tied up that wants to escape. I had no idea, but again, I made the same thing. It's always that's such a theme where I look. Okay, I can now see it when I do it. I have no control over it. So it's the same reason that every building looks about. It's always looking like I always like things just about to fall over. So there's always this peak and then a castle at the top. It's always unstable. So I think that for me is just as important as the game being fun. Is that you can put those things in a game. Have a mechanism to pull people through the game, which is fun, but slowly you are also, without sounding pretentious, well, it is pretentious, so sorry for that, but that is putting people into the art of a game.
Yeah,
that's the poetry is maybe a nice word of it. So that was always important. So I've always, and there are moments where I do stuff in the game. If you use the mutagens, the bird will get sick, and you can see veins, and it will look. It's a very primitive. It doesn't do anything, but it's just in the story that the mutagens are unhealthy. Which I think is interesting. Is how do you treat animals in the game? I know one reviewer from Forbes who physically got ill from seeing that. He thought, "What is this game? I am shooting birds, which I love." Which is like animal abuse, and then you're making me mutate the birds in an unhealthy way. And he felt what the game was like sadistic, in a sense.
It's a bit the feeling that I had when I played the game. It was a bit strange that you harm a bit the birds. That is your reason of living, basically.
Yeah, and I did it because that's how they used to treat horses in racing. Some people would treat their horse really well, but other people's they would inject it or spike it or use spurs because it would go faster. So that's the inspiration. But for me, that was interesting because it's changing a little bit how. So the hero narrative of games are you always get bigger, stronger. You start at level 1 and you end at level 20, and then you're just you're a god, fireballing every enemy. It's always the same, even when we say it's not. So if we put down stories in the games where you hurting or someone really close got killed or you fail. Afterwards, you still go around shooting everybody with your fucking level 20 magic spell or machine gun, so that's for me. That was I will go. I will go. Okay, I don't want to do that. So there's no heroes in the game. There's none. There is no. Everybody's the bad guy. Like in real life, nobody is. If you're a soldier, you're killing somebody, that somebody thought he was a hero. You think you're a hero. You can't both be right. Yeah, so there's, that is that sense. I found it's just interesting to me, and it fits the emotion of wanting to escape, but you're stuck in situations. That is the entire theme of the game. Is you want to escape, but you are tied down either by your community or your laws or your religion or whatnot. And you're trying to escape, and that everything I try to do is to give you that feeling that you're stuck, or it's something is wrong. And some people feel that, and for me, that's a success, even though it's not a pleasant feeling. And some people will turn off the game because it's, fucking depressing. But then I try to offset. That's why but I like it that it does that. And then you fly around, and it can feel sometimes like wow. And then the chanting comes in. It's like oh, like a hallelujah. And then so you have one hand that gives you this, and the other hand that is trying to pull you down into this much darker story. I find that fascinating. So for me, that's just as important. If the game is fun, is actually. And the fact that there is combat and I do like a good explosion. I'm a gamer myself, so I like a good explosion. I've done my best, but it is there to pull you into these feelings and have this sensation of, and then to question, am I not a hero, or what the fuck is this game trying to achieve? That's what if it and I'm saddened when people just feel that and then immediately say, okay, fuck this game. But turn it off. It's too complicated. It's too intellectual, or whatever, or it's not fun, or whatever. Then I failed. But if you slowly think, well, I might not want to finish this game, or if sort of that is to me is successful, because it's making you think at least, or it's making you feel something which I put in there, which is a part of well, an artist would say that's a part of me that you're experiencing. And that is what art is for. Art isn't some fancy label saying this is art because it can be in a museum. Fuck that. But it is art because it's about you playing and me putting something in there. Which used to be mine, but is now between the both of us. Again, that might not be some good text for a gaming podcast, but yeah.
So it's in the end it was a very personal creation, and that could only happen by doing it by yourself or a very small team. That's not something that can happen with big creation, big
I don't
studios,
think so.
guess.
I think then you have to be more intellectual about what you want, how do you want to achieve it, and then get your team on board and becomes a shared, like a movie but even But the thing is, with movie, you can have one guy in charge who understands everything.
Yeah.
But if you make a triple A title, or even whatever, a triple indie title, that's nearly impossible, and you need the input of many other people. So it's always a Gesamtkunst, always something you do together, and definitely that it can be art as well. But it's different from one person. I feel like something like this. If you look at the solo developed games of the last years. If you look at Dark or you can see that you can taste the person behind the screen who made it.
Yeah.
Then I think that's interesting. I think that does attract a specific type of gamer who enjoys that.
And remind me, how much time did you take to create the game?
So it's difficult because I count some of the work on Oberon's Court and on the art style is 7 years ago.
Okay.
So I've been working on that art for 7 years, but the game itself 4 years-ish.
4 years.
Might be a little bit. And then I had a good demo, I think 3.5, 4 years ago. It's all blur. And then I went to GDC, and it was 2018 or something, I guess, 2019. That's already 2 years ago. And that started it off really,
Okay.
where other people saw it.